I'm Andrew Meet Rich. I used to be deep inside one of the biggest media outlets and I watched firsthand as the truth got bent, twisted, and packaged to fit whatever narrative they wanted. I walked away from that world. Now I'm independent. I answer to no one, and I tell you what actually matters. If you value honest reporting that doesn't bow to anyone, hit that like button and subscribe. And if you want to support independent voices who refuse to play the game, consider becoming a channel sponsor. It means the world to people like me who chose the hard road over the easy paycheck. Let's dive into what's happening right now, because Europe is in complete disarray and the cracks are getting wider by the day. Hungary's Prime Minister Viktor Orban just called his country an island of peace and announced that after his conversation with Donald Trump, Budapest is now in full preparation mode for an upcoming meeting between the leaders of the United States and Russia. That's right, Hungary is positioning itself as the neutral ground for what could be one of the most significant summits in recent history. And here's where it gets interesting. The European Commission has declared that existing sanctions against Russian leadership do not actually ban their entry into EU territory. So technically, there's no obstacle to this meeting happening in Budapest. But British experts are already pointing out something crucial. The choice of Hungary as the summit location has likely wiped the smile off the faces of other European Union leaders. The EU bloc has been largely sidelined from peace negotiations over Ukraine and is now grappling with its secondary role, which it also played in the peace plan for Gaza. Hungary, which has been rejected and criticized by almost every EU member and institution, now finds itself at the center of attention from President Trump, who believes the EU was created to spite the United States. That's how they see it in Britain anyway. Meanwhile, Germany's government insists that during any potential meeting, Hungary must adhere to the International Criminal Court statute. Even though Budapest has announced its withdrawal from the court statute, that won't take effect until April of next year, according to a German government representative. Therefore, Hungary remains obligated to execute the warrant, or so Germany insists. We'll see how this unfolds because the tension between what Hungary wants to do and what the rest of Europe demands is about to boil over. And speaking of Germany, there are some truly remarkable developments coming out of Berlin right now. Friedrich Merz's government has come very close to reaching an agreement with the Taliban, yes, the Taliban, including terms for deporting migrants back to Afghanistan. Other European Union countries may follow Germany's example on this. Now, Germany's leadership does not officially recognize the Taliban government in Afghanistan, but that's not stopping them from doing business together. In exchange for cooperation with the Taliban, Germany will reportedly provide the regime with what it needs most on the international stage: legitimacy. Experts explain that Chancellor Merz is under political pressure from the right-wing Alternative for Germany party and has repeatedly promised to deport more people, including Afghans, who make up the second largest group of asylum seekers in Germany after Syrians. So the right wing is pushing hard and Merz is bending. Think about this for a second. Nearly 20 years, American troops and their allies spent fighting to replace the Taliban with, well, the Taliban, and now everyone's going to have to deal with them anyway. It's not just Germany. This is simply a matter of time before other nations follow suit. Now let's talk about one of the most discussed statements from Chancellor Merz. He has warned that Europe risks becoming an economic pawn in the hands of the United States and China. Europe will lose its independence to the world's economic giants if its leaders don't take rapid measures to restore competitiveness. That's an official warning to all European leaders. Experts clarify that the Chancellor is pushing the European community toward large-scale economic reforms because within Germany itself he's facing mounting political pressure to revive a stagnating economy. German business leaders are loudly calling on Merz to implement bolder reforms to stimulate economic growth, saying urgent action is needed right now. But here's an alarming report coming out of the German capital today. Who would have thought, but Berlin is suffering from a rat invasion. The exact number of rats in Berlin is unknown, but rough estimates put it at several million. They find food everywhere, leftover scraps on the streets, open garbage bins, pigeon feeders. All these places create a comfortable habitat for these pests. Every year, health authorities and departments receive thousands of reports about vermin, with requests to take action. But Berlin has failed to make any substantial progress in fighting the rat invasion. Rats now scurry through squares and parks, even during the daytime. The Senate of the German capital has finally revealed the scale of the problem and admitted that Berlin is experiencing a full-blown rat infestation. When your capital city can't even control its vermin population, what does that say about your ability to govern anything else? If you're finding this coverage valuable, don't forget to like this video and drop a comment below with your thoughts. Your engagement keeps this channel alive. Now let's turn to the United States, where a top critic of Donald Trump has been accused of leaking classified materials. Former advisor John Bolton is suspected of leaking over 1,000 pages of top-secret information. To put it simply, he made a deal and talked. Among the data that may have been disclosed are intelligence on criminal activities, information about agents, plans for rocket launches, and details of secret operations by the United States and its allies. Bolton allegedly transmitted highly classified information through personal accounts and stored documents at home, which is a direct violation of federal law. He faces 18 charges, each carrying up to 10 years in prison. So we're watching closely to see what the punishment will be, and there will be punishment, that's certain. Meanwhile, U.S. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy has supported Trump's call for countries to vote against implementing a global carbon tax. He stated that the United Nations is trying to extract money from hardworking Americans with its new green scheme, but this administration will not allow it. And Trump has announced that in a couple of weeks he will meet with China's leader in South Korea. Interesting times ahead. Now for some truly fascinating moments today, and we can't skip these. First from Germany, where German police had to arrest the mayor of the charming town of Neubiberg, near Munich in Bavaria. They had to arrest the mayor because he refused to hand over a banned white powder. You understand what I'm talking about, right? A 37-year-old man from the Christian Social Union, the party led by Bavaria's premier Markus Söder, was detained. The arrested official really did not want to part with his container of powder, so the police had to use more forceful measures. They laid him on the ground and handcuffed him. After procedural actions at the nearest police station, he was released. An investigation has been opened against him. The mayor is suspected of possession. It's more than obvious that this mayor knows how to store and protect banned substances very see. But this news is also extremely unfortunate for the Christian Social Union Party. Municipal elections are scheduled in Bavaria for next March. The official, named Martin Pardeller, intended to run for mayor again. Now his candidacy is in question, though anything is possible in our times, as you well know. There's also a new and interesting proposal today. Members of the European Parliament are trolling Ursula von der Leyen by suggesting she acquire a new smartphone with sufficient memory and appropriate artificial intelligence support to guarantee the preservation of all text messages without exception. The head of the European Commission is being mocked for the automatic deletion of messages, supposedly due to saving space. The European Commission defended their boss, loudly claiming that the required messages were automatically deleted, partly due to considerations of saving space on the phone. However, technical experts have refuted this version, calling it unsubstantiated and implausible, since text messages take up virtually no space on modern devices. But we're still watching to see what smartphone they'll issue her. There's already a decision on an amendment to the law on data storage in phones. It was proposed by right-wing German MEP Christine Anderson and right-wing Swedish MEP Charlie Weimers. Yesterday it was signed by 57 members of the European Parliament. This amendment calls for and obliges the European Union's executive branch to remember the importance of maintaining proper records of all official communications from the European Commission. And so they additionally proposed purchasing a device with large memory capacity for Ursula von der Leyen, with artificial intelligence that will remind her how to properly handle all correspondence. Since votes of no confidence don't pass, they've decided to approach from a different angle to train her into compliance. Let me quickly recap what we've covered today, because these stories connect in troubling ways. Hungary is becoming the mediator Europe doesn't want, positioned between Trump and Russia, while the EU fumes on the sidelines. Germany is making deals with the Taliban out of political desperation, warning that Europe is becoming a pawn while its own capital drowns in rats, and its mayors get arrested for holding banned substances. Trump's critics are facing serious legal consequences for leaking secrets, and EU bureaucrats can't even keep their text messages straight. These aren't isolated incidents. They're symptoms of systems breaking down, leaders scrambling, and institutions losing credibility. What do you think about everything happening right now? Drop your thoughts in the comments, I read them all. And if this kind of honest, unfiltered reporting matters to you, smash that like button and subscribe so you never miss what's really going on. If you want to take it further and support independent voices who refuse to bend the knee, consider becoming a channel sponsor. It's viewers like you who make it possible for people like me to keep speaking freely without corporate overlords breathing down our necks. I wish you peaceful skies, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay informed, stay alert.